Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of Respect Coin. I am, of course, your host, Michael Bolling. We took a week off for the holiday. I hope everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend. I certainly did. Hope everyone got to reset and recharge. And let's get into it as we always do, as we are presented by Wind Creek Chicago Southland. Are you ready for your winning moment? Find it at Wind Creek Chicago Southland, where the action never stops. Play the hottest table games, enjoy the newest slots, and celebrate big jackpots at Wind Creek. There's a win waiting for you around every corner. A lot to discuss. Really excited as we get into the summer months. First things first, let's talk about the biggest stories in betting at the moment. The NBA season is pretty much over. That's no discredit to the Pacers. I do think the Pacers are putting up a good postseason, probably a little unexpected to some, even though they were a team that made a deep run last year. But the Oklahoma City Thunder got the Timberwolves right up out of the paint. 𝗗cie𝘗𝗋, call him what you want. Is he foul baiting? Is he a free throw merchant? You got to call him the MVP. And he is put on for his team in this postseason. So the Timberwolves, they lose in 5 games. Honestly, could have been a sweep. Minnesota basically played out of their heads one game, and that kind of extended this series. But a gentleman's sweep last night. The Oklahoma City Thunder got them out of the paint. So one of the biggest stories in betting right now, there is a bettor who bet on DraftKings, who bet $13 to win $270,000, and the last 2 legs are the Thunder to win the finals and the Oilers to win the finals. The Oilers have a chance tonight to wrap up their series, so this bettor's feeling pretty good. If you've seen it on any of the social platforms, he's very confident, and I would be as well. My question is, how do you get to that point? Like, at what point were you like, yeah, let me just toss this $13 on these 5 futures bets? Because it never really happens to me, and I know it doesn't happen to a lot of people. But shout out to him. He's got some real legs on this futures parlay. Again, he needs the Oilers and the Thunder to both win their championships respectively. $13 to win $270,000. And if you're wondering if he's cashing out, the cash out is at $81,000 currently. It will obviously go up if the Oilers win. His quote was, "I will not be cashing out, or I will not be leaving with less than $100,000." Let's see how things go, but shout out to that bettor on DraftKings, having himself a good month. And maybe he can win the whole thing. I certainly have no reason to believe that the Thunder will lose, regardless of opponent. The Oilers, however, I don't know. They do have Connor McDavid, one of the best hockey players in the entire world. But are they ready for that? Florida already punched their ticket. Florida's been there for the last couple years. Is it Canada's moment? Is it this bettor's moment? We will see and find out very soon. Also in the NBA, another big story, and this is obviously a story that, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but this story is very special to me as it becomes a little more real on his side. But good homie of mine, shout out Logan, he bet $1,000 on the Pacers to win the NBA Finals before the playoffs began at 85-1. And good Lord, was that a fun and smart bet. I'm not even sure he was as confident in it as you might want to be to put $1,000 on an 85-1, but dude does his research. Dude always picks something that's equal parts smart but interesting, does like to go against the grain, is not a chalk-eating weasel, as we like to call them. So shout out to my man's Logan. 1 win away from the finals. If I had any advice for him, and we've talked on the side, I would hit that cash out button as soon as this series ends, because obviously the Thunder are supreme favorites in the finals, regardless whether who they play. Right now, they're minus 750 to win the finals. and the Pacers would be plus 540 to win the series against OKC. So if this ticket was in my hands, I'm not sure what the cash out is, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around 10 or 11,000. I probably would press the button tonight. You risk the Knicks making some crap up and winning a couple games, but as 3-1 leads happen, it's very unlikely the Knicks are going to come all the way back. If you want to wait until the series is over, see what that cash out gets to, I respect it. But either way, you're going to be walking home with something. So expect to see me in New York City at some point this summer. We must celebrate. Awesome, awesome bet, my man LG. Hopefully this doesn't get sweaty at all, and hopefully you just hit the button, man. Just hit it. Let's move on to the Timberwolves, or let's go back to the Timberwolves. My goodness. This week's disrespecters of coin is the entire Minnesota Timberwolves organization. This is a team that has so much talent. One of the best players in the league. Some people want to make him the face of the league. I don't see it. Maybe we'll find out a little bit this summer. I'll get to that a little later. But the Timberwolves effectively did not show up in this series. They got blown out 4 out of the 5 games. They smoked everybody's parlays for sure. I don't know how anyone could be a fan of Naz Reid at this point. Julius Randle is who we thought he was. He played one good half of basketball, and everyone was like, see, look at Julius Randle. Like, bruh, come on. He was a no-show for largely the rest of the series. He got a bunch of empty calories last night. They could have lost by 50. So Minnesota Timberwolves, they got to go back to the drawing board. They do not respect coin. I will remember this in the future because this is a team that, led by Anthony Edwards, does stick their chest out a lot. Oh, also, let me not forget, Rudy Gobert. My God. If you're a voter who's been voting on Rudy Gobert to win Defensive Player of the Year, I don't know what game you're watching. You got to stop watching these random-ass regular season games where he's getting 2 or 3 blocks against scrubs. Every playoffs, it feels, last year, Luka cooked him. This year, everybody cooked him. So I don't get it. I don't understand the Timberwolves' whole deal. They might need to reshuffle some pieces, because you're probably going to be starting to waste some good years by Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards has some soul-searching to do as well. He said in his press conference after the loss that no one's going to work harder than him this offseason, this summer. We'll see. I'm not sure I believe him. But my criticism and my feedback to Ant-Man since the beginning, and since we've seen him on the Netflix show, is how bad does he really want it? Like, does he really want to be great? Like, you can only get dispatched in the conference finals 2 years in a row, and you're fortunate to get there in the first place, but do you want to take that next step? Like, what's the next evolution of his game? He does play some defense. I think he can get better there. But all in all, like, he's got to do a lot more winning and producing than talking. And I know he loves to talk. We saw him on the gold medal Netflix show as well. Like, he's dope. Like, he's a really fun player. He's someone that, like, a lot of people definitely love to watch and watch what he's doing on and off the court. But you can't keep getting beat, man. Like, at some point, you got to really get that thing done. And 𝗗cie 𝗵𝗻cie, someone who speaks very little, dominated the series. I mean, I don't think it was even close. He proved to everyone why he was the MVP, and the Thunder are very scary, but the Timberwolves, supreme coin disrespecters, damn, couldn't even get us a couple close games so we could cash some parlays. So they got to get back to the drawing board, and that roster might be in shambles. They got some soul searching to do, so we won't linger on that too much. But if you're like me, who thought that the Timberwolves had a fighting chance in this, we were all wrong, because they didn't even show up. Finally, a fun one, off the court, off the field. I saw a story, shout out to my guys at BR Betting. A woman won $2.17 million with $3.47 left in her slots. Wheel of Fortune 4D slots. I know where I'm going to be sitting down next time I hit Vegas or go to the casino. If that's available, I'm playing it. I have major questions about everyone who plays slots. Like, I understand that you can do stuff like this. You can randomly win $2 million, but got a couple buddies, one in particular who is really into playing slots. I've seen him win playing slots. Shout out to my guy, Jake. I don't get it. Like, why won't this happen to me? I know why, because I just don't play. You can't win if you don't play, but shout out to everyone who has the patience and the bankroll to sit at a slot and burn their eyeballs. Hopefully you're winning money. And shout out to this lady who won $2 million, bro. $2 million with $3.47 left. What I don't know is how much money she was invested in that slot. She might have been there all day, because that really feels like the way to win. You find a good machine and you just play and you just keep replaying, and hopefully that ball drops your way or bounces your way. So it is possible this really happened. So if you're a slots truther, your validation day has come. $2 million, $3.47 left in the machine. Unbelievable. All right, so we talked hoops. We do have an NBA Eastern Conference final game today. The Knicks are taking on the Pacers. They're back at Madison Square Garden. There's a lot that I think can happen in this game, but I have a little parlay that I'm going to share with you right now and give you the reasons along the way. First things first, I do not think this series is ending tonight. There's a lot of reasons, but first let me get my conspiracy theory out of the way. The Western Conference Finals for ESPN was horrendous. 2 smaller markets, 4 blowouts in 5 games, very little interest. A lot of people turning the TV off after halftime. NBA on TNT, a show that I hold very closely to my heart, had a chance to work on when I was at BR Betting, from the betting side, just kind of doing some parlay stuff with Chuck and the group. This is their last season on TNT. So if you think there's fixes in the NBA, this would be a good opportunity to get invested in the Knicks. I don't see this game being a loss for the Knicks at home. I do think extending this series has some economic value. I'll just put it like that. So if you do believe in a little bit of conspiracy, and when I say conspiracy, I don't think the games are rigged. I do think one team's going to come out a little more hungry, even though the Pacers have been extremely well coached by Rick Carlisle. So I don't think they're going to be coming in thinking like we're going to just run them out of the Garden. That's not going to happen. But the Garden will be lit. I do know Knicks fans, as much as they like to celebrate second round wins and do all the bing bong and the side talk outside, like that's pure entertainment for social. But the fans that are inside the Garden will be locked in. So I don't think this series is ending tonight. I do think we're going to see another TNT broadcast over the weekend. And I think this series potentially ends in Indianapolis, which is a good story on both sides. So in terms of the parlay, I got 5 legs. It's plus 452. First, Jalen Brunson to score 30 points. He's been around this number a bunch this series. Tibbs as head coach, he's going to play his best guys all the way to the end. 30 should be no issue at home. Josh Hart to grab 8 rebounds. The dude flies around all game. Again, Tibbs coach. Josh Hart's one of his favorite players. He will be very active tonight. On the Pacers side, Pascal Siakam has shown why he's a 3-time All-Star. One of the better players, one of the better stretch fours, I would call him. 15 points should be no issue. He's been over this number all series long. And then Tyrese Halliburton to have 8 assists. He's had 3 double-doubles in this series. He's been facilitating. He had no turnovers with 12 assists last game, or maybe it was 15 assists and 12 rebounds. So I like Halliburton to get 8 assists. And then finally, I usually don't put sides in parlays, but for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, I do think the Knicks win this game and extend the series to go back to Indianapolis for a Game 6. So we have Jalen Brunson to score 30 points, Josh Hart to grab 8 boards, Siakam to score 15 points, Halliburton to have 8 dimes, and the Knicks to win to send the series back to Indianapolis. Plus 452 on FanDuel. Holler at me on social if you're tailing. All right, so we got all the basketball out of the way. Let's talk local stories in betting. 2 baseball teams on either side of town. One team playing extremely well. The other team kind of finding their footing, I would say. Record doesn't reflect how much better they've been, but let's start with the Cubs. We have a couple guys that have really kind of turned heads, especially recently on the north side. First and very foremost, shout out to the bat out of hell that is Pete Crow-Armstrong. Holy smokes, what an arrival. Dude looks like a superstar, has been absolutely electric for the Cubs since opening day. Someone that the Cubs have leaned on a lot more than I think they've needed to, but also someone who is ascending, I believe, into superstardom in Major League Baseball, not just locally. So if you're curious, because I have the numbers, PCA to win National League MVP, he was 100-1, and in some areas even longer than 100-1 to win NL MVP, something that no one saw coming. This start, no one could have predicted how hot this guy would be through March, through April, and now through May. He's down from 100-1 to 12-1 on FanDuel, 10-1 on DraftKings, homered again last night. Do I think he's going to win the award? Not really. Do I want him to win the award? Yes, I did place a bet on him before, not before the season, but before he got really hot in April. So I have it at a good number. But this is a situation, right? Like if you bet him before the season, you feel great. If you bet him in mid-April, you're feeling pretty good. If you're looking at it now, there's not a ton of value left. He's in the top 3 candidates to win the National League MVP right now. And there's just that guy out on the West Coast, Shohei Ohtani, who everybody loves. Baseball writers vote for this. So remember, right? Like this is the same Major League Baseball who kept Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame forever until he passed away, and now he's going to posthumously go in. Like, whatever. So if you think that this is going to be straight numbers, I would not get too invested in PCA at the moment. Now, Shohei Ohtani, and this is my argument. This is my argument to bet PCA to win National League MVP if you haven't already. I have a better number than 12 and 10-1. Make sure you line shop. The numbers are different at different books. But the argument I'll make for PCA is as such. Shohei Ohtani is far and away the favorite right now to win National League MVP, and rightfully so. Dude's absolutely mashing. But very soon, he's going to get back on the mound. And when he does, will that take a little bit away from his hitting? It's shown in the past that it has not. But in terms of future bets, who knows what can happen? There's risk of injury on either side. So if you're feeling frisky, you're feeling like you want to get involved, you can get involved with PCA to win MVP. I personally would wait until there's more value, because as Shohei Ohtani gets back, his value is going to continue to grow. So that might mean you get a better number, and you're basically you're not hoping for an injury, but if an injury happens, then you are in position to cash this bet. So shout out to PCA. Dude's been absolutely raking, doing it all, stealing bases, which I'll get to a little later, and also playing Gold Glove type center field. He should be the starter in center field for the All-Star game, in my opinion, and that is an unbiased, objective opinion. A bet that I do think is a little bit more live in terms of the Cubs. Remember that guy, Matt Shaw? Matt Shaw had one of the craziest college baseball seasons coming from Maryland. Hit tool off the charts. Dude absolutely mashed all the way through AA, through AAA, and he made the opening day roster. So if you were looking back in spring training, Matt Shaw was one of the favorites to win NL Rookie of the Year. He opened at around 4.5 to 1. And then he started to struggle. After they came back from Japan, the adjustments weren't there. He only had one multi-hit game. You could tell that the game was a little fast for him, and the Cubs did what most organizations do when their prospect struggles. They sent him down, creating a big hole at third base. They couldn't get third base figured out for the longest time. They were just kind of waiting for something to click for Matt Shaw. He reduced his leg kick. He worked on that. And he came back, and the dude's raking again. He's showing you why he's one of the better hitters in terms of prospects in the organization, might be the best. And now he's back up and he's producing. He had a walk-off hit the other night, another couple hits, and showing you even at the bottom of this long Cubs lineup that production can still be felt. It's meaningful. So right now he's around 11 to 1, 12 to 1. Check your books to make sure. So I'm going to make another argument for a bet here, futures-wise. Matt Shaw to win NL Rookie of the Year. He's on one of the better teams in the National League. The Cubs should continue to stay in contention, win a division, and potentially get a bye in the first round of the wild card series of the playoffs. This guy is going to play a serviceable enough third base to not have that aspect hurt him. So if you're talking about one of the best teams in the league, you're talking about a guy who should hit around 270, may not have as much power as some of the other rookies. Drake Baldwin right now is the favorite for the Braves. If you're interested, to take Matt Shaw to win NL Rookie of the Year, around 11 to 1, around 12 to 1. A lot of people got a better number when he was sent down, because it didn't, there was no end in sight when he was coming back. But in terms of positional value, playing a solid third base, in terms of the hit tool, he's going to be someone who can produce in this lineup for the rest of the season, assuming good health, assuming he stays on track. I think 11 to 1, 12 to 1, something in that range is good enough value to pull the trigger. On the south side, again, like I mentioned earlier, the season isn't going as well as you might want if you're trying to talk about futures bets. I know their over-under for the season was around 53, 54 games. They've got 18 wins. I do see them getting over that hump. I kind of see them winning 60 games. This team is much better than their record is showing. And they've got a lot of guys that are veterans that are back in the lineup, the Mike Tauchmans of the world. Miguel Vargas is setting the world on fire, which I'll talk about him a little later as well. If they can get anything out of Luis Robert over the next couple months, they're going to be a team that's going to win more games than I think a lot of people expected. Now, not a lot of people had high expectations. They had the worst MLB season last year, but Will Venable has them playing hard. They've got young players that have made an impact. Chase Mydroth at the top of the lineup. Edgar Caro, switch-hitting catcher, been producing. You get Corey Lee back. You're talking about Kyle Teal, who was player of the month in AAA. You got a lot of things that they want, that they're excited about, but the thing that I think the most people don't understand is their pitching staff has been absolutely nails. And I'm talking about the starters. The bullpen has been kind of hit or miss, but the starters have been great. So if you're looking at anything in terms of futures for the White Sox, I think if they do get hot at some point in the summer and win a lot more games, then, if they steal a bunch of games, I would look towards Shane Smith potentially. This is a guy who's 25 to 1 right now to win Rookie of the Year in the American League. Is it smart? Probably not. If you're a White Sox fan and you're looking for something to kind of latch onto, maybe it's worth it. This is a Rule 5 pitcher who could be the White Sox All-Star this year. The story is great. The stuff is really, really good. He was rushing it up to 97, 98 yesterday. Changeup is filthy. has a 4-pitch mix. He's going to be a guy in the rotation. When the White Sox make that next step and they start to contend again, he's going to be someone that's going to factor into it. Otherwise, I don't see much value with anyone else in that department. So Shane Smith is your guy, but a lot to be excited about, I think, for the future. A lot of good young pitchers. You got Smith, you got Cannon, you've got Burke, and they've got some other guys that are kind of waiting in the wings. You got Hagen Smith, you got Noah Schultz. So they've got a lot of really strong arms. I think when they're ready to compete again, they got to shore up the back end of the bullpen. But if you're looking for anything to kind of get involved with in terms of futures, I would look at Shane Smith, to win NL or AL Rookie of the Year, because he's been pretty good. He's been really good. The ERA is down. The strikeouts are up. Someone to consider. A couple more things. So before the season started, I gave out 3 futures bets for MLB. White Sox and Cubs involved. And I want to do a quick update because we have some real life. So first bet I made is dead, unfortunately. I bet Jonathan Cannon to have over 100 strikeouts and Justin Steele to have over 150 strikeouts. The unfortunate news is Justin Steele had season-ending elbow surgery, and he will not pitch again. So that bet is dead. Wishing Justin Steele a speedy and safe recovery, because the Cubs will absolutely need him back next season. But the 2 bets that are alive that I gave out before the season started, I'm feeling really good about, so let's update them right now. First, I bet PCA and Luis Robert Jr. to each swipe 30 bags. The progress is great. Luis Robert leads the league in steals with 21 right now, so only 9 away. And PCA, if he just stops hitting home runs and hitting triples, he's going to easily get there. He's got 16, so we're at 21 of 30 with Luis Robert, 16 of 30 with PCA. That bet feels very, very locky, hoping these guys can stay healthy. And the other, a home run futures parlay, I bet Seiya Suzuki to hit 20. I bet Miguel Vargas to hit 15. I know a lot of people commented on the Vargas thing. That boy changed his hands, and all he does is mash right now. So Seiya leading Major League Baseball in RBI, 14 homers out of 20. Miguel Vargas, 8 homers out of 15. And we are not even at June 1st. So those 2 futures bets, they look really good. I hope this didn't just jinx them, but I really think that these were smart. Hopefully you tailed. If you did, we're feeling pretty good. Pray for good health. Knock on wood that we get these across the board. No sweat fashion would be great. If we can get these done by mid-August, I would be thrilled. And as the pace looks right now, we've got a really good shot at cashing this before the fall. More on MLB. I have an interesting futures parlay that I want to talk to people about. We're about 50, 55 games through the season at this point, so about a third of the way through. Right now, there's some juicy options on FanDuel, so I cooked up a little futures parlay, and I'm curious what people think. If you'd like to tail, feel free. Hit me up on social at Mike Alex Bolling and holler if you're tailing. My mid-season, I just lost my brain. My mid-season MLB futures parlay is 4 legs. It is 30-1. So this is a big boy. If you are interested, listen up. I have 4 legs for you. The first, Craig Counsell to win National League Manager of the Year. He is the favorite at plus 140. The Cubs have been much better, in my opinion, than expected. I thought that they would be good. I did not think they would be this good. They're getting incredible contributions from the PCAs, from the Seiya Suzukis, from the Kyle Tuckers. The lineup is long. The pitchers have done much better, especially given some injuries, and they're solidifying the bullpen. I think if the Cubs continue this pace, there's no one that's going to overtake Craig Counsell. A former Cub, Javi Baez to win AL Comeback Player of the Year, plus 135, the favorite. Love the story about Javi. He's moving to the outfield, one of the best and most athletic players in Major League Baseball. Sputtered the last few years after getting his big contract in Detroit, and now has rejuvenated his career. Could be an all-star. Comeback Player of the Year feels very, very fun to add to this parlay. A chalk on the National League Comeback Player side of the year. Ronald Acuna Jr. did not hit for over a year and hit his first pitch he saw 470 feet. If you don't think this guy's going to win Comeback Player of the Year in the National League, you don't know what's coming, because people love Ronnie Dingers. I love Ronnie Dingers. And when you have that many injuries that set you back for the last couple years, all he's got to do is finish the season. The Braves are playing better baseball now, getting their guys healthy. I do think that this is a lock. He's minus 155 right now and easily the favorite in the National League. And finally, little bit of a controversy because the Pirates aren't very good, but Paul Skeens to win Cy Young in the National League. He's the favorite, plus 240. Right behind him is Yamamoto, who's pitched really well for the Dodgers. But those four legs, Counsell to win Manager of the Year, Baez to win Player of the Year, or Comeback Player of the Year in the AL, Acuna Jr. to win Comeback Player of the Year in the National League, and Paul Skeens is 30-1. I repeat, 30-1. If you're betting that right now, $10 wins you $300. If you got more money than that and you're feeling a little more confident in those four legs, you can really cash out on a 30-1. So I love this futures parlay. Midsummer MLB futures parlay. One more time. Craig Counsell to win Manager of the Year in the National League. Javi Baez, AL Comeback Player of the Year. Ronald Acuna Jr., NL Comeback Player of the Year. Paul Skeens, NL Cy Young Award winner. Four legs, 30-1. You can bet those exclusively on FanDuel. FanDuel has Comeback Player of the Year odds. DraftKings and other books do not. That'd be pretty fun if we can get that one across the window. I'll tell you that. So we're locked in. That is complete. Finally, before I get out of here, I got some W bets for you to consider. You should not be surprised by any of these when I say them. There's two of them. First, I'm going to go double check because I don't want to give you some stale odds. But who is the biggest name in the W? It's Caitlin Clark. We know it. We know it. Right now, 𝗗cie 𝗗cie is minus 300 to win MVP in the W. I think that's appropriate. She's balling out of control right now. So I'm not taking anything away from 𝗗cie. She's one of the best players in the league. But if you're going to give me Caitlin Clark at plus 500, she is going to miss the next couple weeks with an injury. I understand that. But the league literally runs through Caitlin Clark. The most nationally televised games, by far. The most games in larger arenas, by far. They're not doing that for anyone else. When you think about the words, most valuable player, if the Fever drop off for the next 2 weeks and are in fear of sliding in the standings, and Caitlin Clark comes back and brings them to the playoffs, she's going to win MVP. Make no doubt about it. So this is a great opportunity to get in. If you like Caitlin Clark, if you are a Caitlin Clark fan, even if you're a hater, 5-1 odds on the most important player of the league to win MVP, I'll take that any day. I'll take that any day. Plus 500 on FanDuel. I would lock that in. Maybe it gets a little longer, so maybe you wait and see. Maybe 𝗗cie 𝗗cie is playing a little better over the next couple weeks, so you might get some better value out of it, but 5-1, I think she was plus 200 before the season, so you're getting some good value there. I looked on DraftKings just now just to be, safe. She's plus 360. So, should tell you all you need to know. If you're trying to get in, I would get in right now. And in terms of the Fever, you can bet the Coach of the Year. You can do it. Right now, Stephanie White, head coach of the Fever. She is 6-1 6-1. These numbers have changed in 2 days. 6-1 right now. She's the 4th favorite. Again, this is a situation where the best player on one of the better teams in the league is out for 2 weeks. Let's say the Fever play well. What's stopping me from betting Stephanie White at 6-1? Again, they're on TV the most of anyone. She's someone who coached at a very high level before. She does NBA games. She's got swag. Like, people want her on, she was the most sought after coach in the cycle. And she's got the best player on her team. If this team makes the playoffs after Caitlin Clark is out for 2 weeks, how are you not going to vote for Stephanie White? They got to stay afloat without her. And when they get her back, they're probably going to go on a run. These are 2 options that I think are really fun. You don't have to like Caitlin Clark. You don't have to love the W anyway, but you should be watching women's basketball. And if you're still a hater in 2025, honestly, unfollow the show because you're just ignorant. Stephanie White to win Coach of the Year, Caitlin Clark to win MVP, 6-1 and 5-1 respectively. I see the value in it. The economics make sense. I don't know why you wouldn't give it a swing, but that's just me. All right, y'all. Next week, we will have a NBA Finals preview, reaching out to some homies in the industry to chop it up with. It's looking like it's going to be Thunder Pacers. If the Knicks pull off a ridiculous comeback, that's going to take all their energy. I think the season's over, unfortunately. And if you don't like watching free throws, you're going to hate the NBA Finals because Shai's getting to the line as much as he wants. So we've got an NBA Finals preview coming next week, and then we'll dive more into some baseball, like get in the weeds on baseball betting once the NBA Finals wraps up. We might have some draft content, NBA drafts coming up. I'm one of those guys who love betting drafts. I think the information-based markets are really fun, so stay tuned for that. But Finals preview coming up next week. Wishing you a good weekend of betting, whether it's on basketball. Might only have 1 game left if the Knicks can't get it done, but we're banking on the Knicks to extend the series, extend the NBA on TNT cruise run on Turner, and hope to win some bets this weekend. So, as always, I'm your host, Michael Bolling, and this has been Respect Coin. Peace, y'all.